You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. I have two extremely special guests in the house today. I have Renee, and I'm going to Bafalis.
You're close,
Bafalis, and Sandra Lawson. How are you guys doing today?
We're great, thank you.
Great.
Awesome. So this is your first time on the show, and unfortunately, we are in a need for both of your information today. As you know, we've been kind of hit with just a small storm. It may be record-setting at some point with all the damage it's caused, but I'm going to start out with Renee and really try to talk about the FEMA side of things. Because we have been through this before, but I don't know that our area has felt the need for FEMA information as much as we do today. So can you kind of give an overview of what FEMA does in a crisis situation like we're in today?
Yes. FEMA can come in and assist you to jumpstart your recovery process. We can assist you with some type of housing that you may need. We have several different programs that are available. And we also have other needs assistance, which includes things such as initial home repairs, transportation costs if you lost your home, if you had child care costs, you have to put your child into some sort of child care while you're dealing with the other things that you have to deal with, medical and dental expenses you may have had, funeral expenses if you lost a loved one. Those are the types of things that we can assist you with. And currently we have 3 programs available in our housing assistance mission. One is the rental assistance program, which is just a temporary thing in case you need something for a few days. We also have our transitional sheltering assistance program, which is a longer term program for folks to be able to stay in hotels and motels and any types of real estate properties that may be available in the area. And then we have a housing mission, which brings in mobile units, mobile manufactured homes, and also travel trailers. And that is available. That program itself is available in 6 counties as well.
And, you know, I've talked to a lot of people because I've really been a huge proponent of all of the sites that you guys have up and running. And we have one here local at STC, which is also the Shannon Staub Library at Toledo Blade and 75, or Toledo Blade and Cranberry. And it's been quite busy at times, and then other times it's been quiet. But I've been really taking my customers there to try to walk them through processes. Some people have insurance, some people don't have insurance. Would you say the rule of thumb is everybody go apply for FEMA?
Yes, even if you had insurance, we really encourage people, of course, contact your insurance company first, then register for assistance with FEMA. Now, FEMA cannot duplicate what your insurance company may cover, but if you have any unmet needs at the end of this, that we might be able to assist you. We do have to wait till your insurance company lets you know exactly what they'll cover. So there's many times when you'll receive a determination letter from FEMA once you've registered, and it'll say initially you're just denied assistance. But we want people to really read that letter completely to make sure of the reason why they've been denied. It may be that we are waiting for your insurance to let us know exactly what they'll cover, so then we can move forward with another type of assistance for you. Or we may need additional information from you, or maybe you just put down incorrect information that we need to have fixed. So please read that letter completely through. If by chance you've gotten a letter, saw it was denied, and threw it away, don't worry about that. You can either reach out via phone at our 1-800-621-3362 number, or go into one of our disaster recovery centers that have been set up in Florida and meet with a representative face to face. Let them determine exactly, what your situation is, what the status of your claim is, and if you need to write an appeal, they'll assist you in writing that appeal.
And that's the most important part, I think, right now, is because we have a scenario out there, and I'm going to answer Carol Ann's question real quick. You do not need an appointment to go to STC or any of the field offices that are set up out there. Go sign up, get in line. They will walk you through the processes just remember that when you go in the front and sign up, the people out front that are just signing you in, they're not going to be able to answer your questions. Wait until you get back and you'll sit through another process. But in most cases, I walked through two customers through last week, and both of them were in and out within 20 minutes. And the fact is you were getting face-to-face answers. And just because your neighbor may have gotten a denial letter, let's keep in mind that their scenario is not yours. And let's keep everything separate. And let's get the professionals at FEMA and SBA to also assist us along this journey, because they're there to help and assist along the way. And can you talk a little bit about those letters and the appeal process?
Yes, I mean, we have disaster recovery centers. We have, I think, 22, maybe 23 centers set up around the communities that have been affected. We really encourage people to use those centers while they're there. They will eventually close, but I don't have a time frame on that. But right now, they're going to be here indefinitely. But those centers are very beneficial. You have one-on-one contact with someone that can become your advocate and really help you through the process. If you've received one of those letters, we want you to appeal, and our folks will help you write that appeal. We'll tell you exactly what documentation is necessary for the appeal and what needs to be put into the letter. So we really encourage you to use it. Also, those centers have the Small Business Administration, which is my colleague here, Sandra, but we also have other options in there as well. The state has different departments available, Department of Economic Opportunity and other things. We also have crisis counselors. We have law teams that are in there that can help you through some legal things that you may need. So they can help you with documentation if you've lost your documentation. So the centers are multifaceted, and we really encourage people to use them. There's so many different things besides just FEMA there.
So I'm going to bring your partner, Renee, into the mix here a little bit. If you can go ahead and unmute your mic there, Sandra.
Yeah, and I just want to say FEMA's job is to sort of, as I said before, jumpstart your recovery process. But that's why SBA is so important to us. They're our partner agency in this, and they offer low-interest disaster assistance loans that can get you back to where you were before the storm. And I'll let Sandra get into that. But I want people to understand, if you're referred to SBA from FEMA, please complete the application process. It's very possible that if you are eligible for the assistance, great. But if you're not eligible for that loan, they will then refer you back to FEMA for a second look. So we don't want you to stop and just not fill out the application, because that will completely stop your process with FEMA.
And Sandra, go ahead and introduce yourself real quick and kind of highlight where you fit into the mix of the team.
Okay. First of all, I'm with the U.S. Small Business Administration. In times of disaster, where we help more than just businesses. We help the homeowner, the renter, the business of any size, and the private nonprofits. So just like Renee was saying, there is a process in place. We encourage individuals to start with FEMA first for assistance. That's the first stop. If you are referred to SBA by FEMA, please complete the application. It's important, if you're declined for any reason by SBA, then you get to go back to FEMA to talk about other needs that they may be able to help you with. So the SBA has a disaster loan program, and it's for physical damages that a homeowner or renter may have experienced, or even the business or the nonprofit. So in talking about the homeowner and renter right now, if they had physical damages to their home, their primary residence, then there's the disaster loan in place that's up to $200,000 could be borrowed. They look at, the requirement is that your primary residence has to be damaged and is in a declared county. So that's important. Sometimes people have more than one house. You know, you have a primary home and then you have a secondary home. Well, the primary residence is the one that can get the loan. The secondary residence is not a residence, but it's a secondary home. If you have rental property and you're using that secondary house for that, then that could be considered as a business. And then you could borrow to get your physical damage repaired on that one, but it's a separate package. Okay. And also for the homeowner, there's the personal property damages, if they lost clothing and furnishings and, maybe a vehicle, things like that. Up to additional $40,000 could be considered for that. And then that's where the renter comes into play. The personal property that they may have had damages to, they can also borrow up to $40,000. The rates for the homeowner and the renter would be as low as 2.1% for up to 30 years. And we look at reasonable credit is what they're asking for, and the ability to repay. If you borrow anything less than 25,000, then there's no collateral requirement.
Okay.
Now, for businesses, they can borrow uh, up to $2 million for physical damages, but that's their real estate, the inventory, supplies, everything related to that business. So they have a little bit higher value of a loan that they can borrow. And the nonprofits, the private nonprofits like a church or an association, homeowners association, or what have you, they could borrow as well for up to 30 years, and the rate is 1.8%. So the loan rates are attractive, and it's that way because, we want to help people. The government wants to help people get back on their feet. While FEMA makes you safe and sanitary, it's not necessarily designed to rebuild your home, So that's why we have the low interest loans, and people should really consider that. It's a resource. You don't have to take a loan, but if FEMA says they're referring you to us, apply anyway. If you don't get approved, you get to go back for other consideration. But if you are approved, you have 2 months to decide whether or not you want to use the loan. But it is an additional resource that's on the table for you to consider, how am I going to put my life back together?
Well, now I want to talk real quick about what you just said, because today's market in housing, we're at about 7.5%. When you're talking about a under 2% loan or around 2% loan, that's really amazing to have that opportunity to reassess where you're at, even though that counts as a second, kind of like a second mortgage on your home, because your home would then be, if you had the collateral, wouldn't that go against your home and you would kind of put it as a second lien?
Well, they would work with you on a case by case basis. It's what they look at for collateral. They're not trying to, do you in. They're just
Right.
trying to keep things
Legit.
proper.
Yeah,
legitimate.
And,
So-
and credit, credit worthiness, repayment, and the normal process. Let's not talk about SBA, but if you were going to another bank or somewhere just to get an upgrade on your home, they would look at the same criteria. You probably have a little more lenience because of the style program that you have, though, right?
We do, and it's designed to help people get back on their feet. I mean, uh, we're probably the lowest rates around. So, and then we have that 12-month deferment before you ever start paying the loan back. Then you can pay it off early. Um, there's so many options and opportunities that they give to work with the individual. So, we encourage people not to compare themselves to the other one. Just present your case. And the other thing is about the disaster recovery centers. Like Renee said, in every center FEMA sets up, SBA is there. So we encourage people to come in, sit down, and talk about their specific case. Then the customer service reps can help guide them in filling out the application. Sometimes, if you just, it's good that you can do things online on your own and you understand everything. That's great. But sometimes you don't know all the rules and what leeway you have. So if you present your case, the customer service reps can guide you as to how we can help you best. And that's kind of what I'm hearing from some of the people that I talk to. They want to answer and they want to base it on what neighbors doing, but You're not your neighbor. Your situation is not the same. Maybe that person got declined for some reason. That doesn't mean you're going to be declined, you know. And again, if you get a decline letter, it could be something very simple that's missing. Consider the decline as an opportunity to come in and talk to a representative face to face and ask them, what can I do? What's wrong? What's this? And they will look and they will work hard to figure out what we could do for you.
Right.
So again, it's an opportunity to get something, to get yourself back together.
So
we do hear a lot that people say, oh gosh, you know, I didn't have as much damage as my neighbor, so I'm not gonna try to take the assistance away from them. But we want people to realize your tax dollars have gone into this pot to come back to assist you in a time of need. So please just register with us. Let our inspectors document the damages and let us make the determination as to whether or not you're eligible for our type of assistance, both from FEMA and SBA.
So Roger Jean asked, do you give a loan to replace your home?
Well, they will consider relocation. If your home is totally damaged and you can't rebuild it at all and you have to start over, yeah, they'll do that kind of loan as well. They want to help you get back to where you were. So if they can approve that loan, that's what they're going to do.
Awesome. I've got another quick question. Tootsie, she says, how long does it take for a super inspector to come to your property? I've been waiting for over a week now.
For FEMA inspectors, it's between 7 and 10 days, but they should be reaching out to you. If you have not heard back from a FEMA inspector, please reach back out to us and let us know that.
And here again, they can utilize the centers for that, right?
Correct.
And go directly to. And here's kind of the rule of thumb I've been telling everybody, and it's if you want good, solid answers, there's no better time to go sit down with somebody and do it face to face.
Absolutely.
Things are just handled totally different. I love the online processes. It makes things easier at times. When you have questions, and I'm sure that you guys are going to agree with this, when you have questions and you start asking neighbors and friends and family that live in Wisconsin or California or New York, and they're not affected by any of this. And really, quite frankly, none of those places have hurricanes, not to this level, maybe California a little bit, but there's just some different considerations that you get when you go and sit down with somebody and do a face-to-face meeting. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. They really become your advocate. You can go back to that person as many times as you want, come back into that center, go back to the same person you dealt with. They know your situation. They can follow through and help you through the process. And I really encourage people to use them.
And that's the other thing about the centers. The reps are there. I mean, they've moved the resources to put people as close as possible so they can help you and you can have that conversation. But when the traffic is slow in the center, you know, then we could put that resource somewhere else where other people need to get to that help. So when the center is available, rush in there and get your questions answered.
And also, just so you know, we also have disaster survivor assistance teams that are working in all of the affected communities as well. We have over 500 representatives on the ground, and they're going door to door in those communities to make sure that if you're back in your home, you know, are all your needs being met? Have you registered with us? And if you want to check the status of your claim, you can do that. If you haven't registered, they'll have iPads with them. They can register you on site. So if you happen to be back at your home just doing repair work and not staying there, and somebody comes up and says they're with FEMA, just know they'll have a FEMA uniform on, like my shirt here. And they will also have a FEMA federal ID. And please always ask for that. Don't give out personal information to anyone other than someone who you're familiar with or you've seen their identification badge. We have no problem showing that. And we are also going to be reaching out into some of the communities as well that are going to be receiving some of these housing units, because we have to call the recipient of those units to say, you know, ask a few pertinent questions. One of the things that they will ask is, you know, how many members of your family do you have? What is your address? and they will ask for the last four of your social security number. Many people aren't going to be really interested in providing that information if they don't know who they're talking to.
Right.
So one of the suggestions that I would like to make is if you have registered with FEMA, you will receive a registration number. When you receive a call from an inspector or you receive a call from FEMA trying to determine your eligibility for one of these mobile units, ask them to read off your registration number back to you, because if they can give that to you, then you'll be able to know that that's exactly who you're speaking with is a federal agent. So we want to make sure that you're aware of that.
So, we've kind of highlighted the denial letter. I've had people ask me, because I've been so involved in with FEMA, and I can't begin to tell you how correct you are. If you are at FEMA more than probably 2 times, they almost remember you by name. They're really good people trying to do, again, great things for our community and surrounding communities. And if you find yourself at like the Port Charlotte Mall location and there's a 2-hour wait, please go to STC Shannon Staub Library at 75 and Toledo Blade, because the processes there are a little different. They're inside, they're not outside. Some facilities are managed a little differently because of location need and disaster. I guess the amount of disaster in the area dictates that a lot too. So they're set up outside down in Port Charlotte. What you really need to do is show up at these locations, get yourself registered, get things going the right direction. If you hear the word no, just keep going forward. And I would say take no 3 times. If you get 3 no's, then you've gone through the gauntlet. But you need to talk to every resource there and get 3 no's. The odds of you getting 3 no's are not real high. Go ahead, Renee.
No, I was just going to say, and if you don't have to live in a particular county to be able to go to a recovery center in another county. Right. You can go to any of the recovery centers. So if you go onto FEMA.gov and look up Florida Disaster Recovery Centers, it'll have a list and addresses of all the recovery centers throughout the area.
She says, how long, Sally asked, how long can we wait to apply? I can't even get my claim assigned to the desk adjuster, so have zero idea on what they will.
Go ahead and register right now. Don't wait to register. You may receive a determination letter saying we're waiting for your insurance to come through, but at least you're in the system. You have until the 28th of November to register for FEMA assistance. That date may change down the road, but right now that is the date. So please do not hesitate and go forward with your registration.
And with the SBA, you don't have to wait for insurance results to apply. If you need help with your deductible, the SBA loan can pay for that as well. But you don't have to wait. When your insurance settlement comes in, then we'll get that information, but you don't have to wait to apply.
And I do want to follow up with that on the deductibles, because we get a lot of questions about people wanting to know why FEMA won't pay your deductible. And that's just not something that we're under law allowed to do. Now, SBA might be able to assist you with that. But the governor of Florida also announced a $5 million program last week to several counties. I think it was 7 counties in the area that have been affected, that they will be able to assist homeowners with their deductible. So I would definitely reach out to the state and request some information on that program.
And that is a state-funded program, right?
Correct. That is correct. They have a $5 million allotment for that program, and they're working that with the 7 counties that they've deemed eligible for that.
Awesome. Is that, and I'm going to ask this because is that something that in crisis situations like this that happens a lot of times?
That you talk about the deductible?
Yeah,
it comes up a lot. A lot of people want to know, why we won't pay the deductible, but legalities just don't allow us to do that. It has to be reimbursement for certain things.
Yeah, have you seen the state do the funding like this before?
I have not, but that's something that's kind of unique to this situation.
And I got to believe that it has to be the amount of devastation that's come across the whole state, because we really have been affected. I think worse than the year that we had 4 hurricanes crisscross our state. I just think this total, and to get it all in one dose, I think is just another whole.
It's a larger swath. I mean, when you think of like Hurricane Michael a few years ago, that really wiped out parts of Panama City and Mexico Beach. But the size of that wasn't quite as large as the scope of this. It takes in quite a few more counties. But I know that one of the issues that we've seen really come to the forefront is that a lot of people that lived along the coast, of course, had flood insurance, but those that are inland and not in a floodplain did not have flood insurance. Now, the state of Florida pretty much has national flood insurance throughout the state. Communities have to buy into that program, but a majority of the state of Florida has bought into the national flood insurance program. And if you check with your adjuster and find out if that's available in your area, it's usually a lot less expensive to purchase, between $500 and $600 for the year. So it's really behooves people to look into that. But we know that many people that were affected by this did not have flood insurance because they were not in the floodplain. And
Correct.
that's where we're seeing most of the damage come, is through the flooding.
So with that being said, let's talk about that individual, because truly we have large areas in Northport and surrounding areas that were really exactly like you said. They were in the X flood zone. They didn't have flood insurance, and now they find themselves in that grind of trying to figure out how to get their lives back. And I think the partnership between what you're doing at FEMA and what the SBA does in providing those low rate programs, it's really geared around getting people to be able to turn themselves around. Yes,
Correct.
while it's accruing debt, it is, in most cases it's manageable because the interest rate is so low.
Correct. And, we've seen in a lot of other situations, not Florida particularly, but people will not want to take a loan, but they'll go use their credit card at 25% or 22% to pay for things. And if you think about it, it's not a logical thing to do when you have the opportunity to possibly get a loan at 2%. So
Well, and that's over 30 years too, right?
correct.
The encouraging thing about the loan program is that now you have an opportunity to build back better. We have that mitigation component in there now that we had it before, but now it becomes really important to take a look at because disasters are happening more frequently. And so with the mitigation piece of this thing, if you're approved for a physical damage loan, you can borrow an additional 20% of the total verified loss to do something that's going to protect your home in the future. So since this was a hurricane declaration, maybe you could do something to have a stronger roof or elevation or different drainage and things like that, or even a safe room or a safe shelter. So people should consider that. It's extra monies that would be available. It's still a part of the loan, but it's an increase. You get the money to make the repairs and recover from your physical damages, and then you're going to do mitigation to build back better and stronger. So all you have to do is, once you're approved for the loan, if you're interested in mitigation, talk to your loan officer, get a cost estimate of the mitigative measures from your contractor, present that, and then they'll process your increase request.
So I'm going to go back to Renee for a second. If you were involved in this from a consumer standpoint because of what you do, what are some of the things that you would, on your own, what you would do now that you know what you're doing? Give your insight in case your home was involved in this. What exactly would you do in order to maximize the FEMA and the SBA side of things?
Well, I can tell you, like, I live in Florida and I live on the water in Florida. And I am not, believe it or not, in a floodplain. My development is, but my house is not. I have flood insurance. We made sure that we have that just because of where we're located off an inlet. So yes, I would definitely make sure, number one, if you can afford it, to get flood insurance, even if you're not in a floodplain. That is number one. And take the opportunity to register with FEMA, see what we might be able to assist you with if your insurance doesn't cover it, and then take the opportunity to definitely go forward with SBA if I have damages that are beyond what the scope is that my insurance covers or beyond what I can afford, out of pocket. I would definitely look into the opportunity to take out one of those low interest loans. It's something that is often overlooked by people. They think that, oh gosh, it's SBA, it's for businesses. It's not, has nothing to do with me, but that is not the case in a disaster. So I really encourage people to take the opportunity to use the money that's available to them. I mean, it's your tax dollars coming back to help you. And so we really encourage you to please register with us.
Would you like to add anything into that, Sandra?
Well, there's so many resources that are available. Like Renee says, there's so many agencies in the Disaster Recovery Center. We encourage everybody to stop by, get started with FEMA, and see what else is there that you could take advantage of. That's why everybody's here, wanting to help.
And I think if anybody out there in the listening audience has any friends, family, neighbors, please check on your seniors. The easiest thing to do with the senior, and I know firsthand, is if they need a ride, take them to a center, get them assistance. Don't try to do this independently. Get them over there, get them in front of the right people. The most frustrating thing I've heard is that I'm not getting any help. And the problem is you're not talking to the right people. Please go over to these centers. They are truly doing a great thing and a great service. And they've done this before. This isn't, I hate to say, it's not your first rodeo, right?
That's correct.
And unfortunately they're here. We definitely need to have you guys. There shouldn't be one family in Northport that if you have any damage at all, that you don't go and sign up for FEMA. You file with your insurance companies, whether it's on the regular insurance or your flood insurance policy. The third part of that component is FEMA. And you've got to work through the processes, and you've got to understand what you're doing, but don't not apply. I think that's the biggest thing, and try to talk to people. And I'm going to, Carol Ann had, will FEMA and SBA remain at STC in Shannon Stop till the 28th? Go ahead. I'll let you.
I say at this point in time, I don't have any end dates. So I will say yes. And if something changes, we will make sure that folks know that centers are closing or whatnot. But that is not in the works at this time.
So another question. So I'm a retiree and I don't own a business. This goes right back to SBA, I'm sure. I could borrow and get a loan to upgrade all my windows. So you can actually do that with that SBA loan, correct?
Yes, if you had physical damages, you can apply for the loan. If you get approved, then you can ask for, if you want to do something special, you can ask for increase to do mitigation if you want special windows and all that kind of stuff, better for future damages. But yeah, you can apply for the loan. And if you get it, you can go ahead and do what you need to do.
Absolutely.
Do you have to have damage to your house to be able to get that, or you just have to be in a county that has federal disaster?
You have to be in a declared county to even apply for the physical damages, right? So if you're located in one of these counties here that's declared, apply. And then see, they'll send somebody out to verify the damages, just like FEMA does. And then once you're approved, then you get to go to work on building it back.
So technically, let's say a fence was down, that's damages.
That's damages.
And so you could actually take the fence and apply to upgrade your windows to a hurricane standard window, and you'd still have to meet that criteria, of course.
Right.
And
the bar is physical damages first. And then once you're approved for physical damages, it opens a window to talk about what can I do to be better in the future. That's mitigation.
Awesome. And so I got another question that came in. What is it? What is the definition of primary residence? Snowbirds, we get them down here, and they're in their house about 6 months, maybe. Is it 6 months in one day? Where do you kind of stand on primary residence?
Primary residence is where you pay your taxes, where you reside, and where your federal taxes are paid, and where you vote. So wherever that is your primary residence.
And then a follow-up question. Okay, I have damage, and FEMA was here to tarp the roof, and I had a screen and a gutter and a soffit damage. Appreciate the info. So she kind of, I think she's gained a lot from just this conversation on possibly doing one, repairs, and then two, getting some assistance on maybe upgrading her home so that, and I like the fact that we have that program to extend out to make these homes maybe safer, because a lot of our homes down here, 1969, 1970, still have the old aluminum frame windows, single pane. And you know, I hate the word jealousy to use that word too much, but we still have those here. And those were very popular in the 70s, and you can only imagine those homes today, but those windows are still here. Not as prevalent as they were before, but this would be a great opportunity if there were damage to the home, or roof damage, or gutters, or window breakage. The time to come in and really assess and apply, and really go sit down and discuss it with everyone. Because I think the more I sit here and talk about it, wouldn't you say that this is more about game planning the post event, and making sure you can maximize the rate of return from every facet of what you're doing?
Yeah, and you know what? If I know it's a disaster right now, so you got to deal with that, but this is a good opportunity to start preparing and thinking about the next time. I mean, we don't want it to be a next time, but things are happening so fast. There's no guarantee, and you don't want to take a gamble when there's an opportunity to do something forward thinking now.
Well, we've kind of got a track now, because Charlie opened one track, and I believe that Ian probably dug that track a little deeper for the next one, which is also scary to think that two kind of have taken the same path. And the odds of that, when I first moved down here 23 years ago, we weren't even thinking about anything like that. And then we had the 4 crisscross the state, and we had one come up the middle of the state. Now we've got 2 that kind of followed the same path. I just don't know that we've ever seen, we've never seen a storm like this before, with this amount of water that was dumped on us, let alone the fact that it was moving so slow. It caused so much damage up and down the coast. To me, we have got to start looking at building differently. I know that our recovery here has been much better because of Charlie. They put a lot of lines underground. They did things. They built it back different, because they knew that if they built it back the same way, the next storm would cause the same havoc. There's just been such a more organized effort, I think, across the board when it comes to all of the FEMA representatives, the SBA, the government programs that are out there, and then all of the local charities that have showed up. Cajun Navy was a vital part of getting here and helping. We've had people come in from different counties with their little John boats and go and rescue people because they saw a need. communities all come together in different facets, and you guys see this across the board.
We do.
Go ahead.
I think we're all learning as we go. I remember after Katrina, there were so many lessons learned and meetings, and what could we have done differently? And each time we have some big major disaster, we learn again. And FEMA's really good at leading that learning process. So, and the community, everybody's just stepping up and learning how to help as we go.
Well, and Jim Bateman, he's a steady listener, and I don't know if he was listening earlier in the day. He said, out of all the people we know, we only know 2 that was given anything from FEMA. If you were denied, once again, we're going to repeat this again because I think it's the most important part of this process. What happens if you're denied, Renee?
Well, we tell you, please read that letter completely. Find out why you've been denied. It may be something very simple to fix. It may be, again, we're waiting for your insurance. So there's many times when people get those letters and just think that's the end of the road, but it's really the first step in the process. So we really want to encourage people to, if you get one of those letters, read it thoroughly, find out what it is that we need further from you, and then come into one of our recovery centers and we can try to help you through that process. We know that people have been devastated. They've lost a lot of documentation and materials and everything else, and it's a stressful time. And our representatives are there to kind of hold their hand and kind of walk them through the process. So please use the facilities while they're available.
The word no means something. In this case, get it 3 times.
That's right.
Just keep going back. I think the word relentless has to be said here. When you're in a situation, when you're trying to get help, if you're quitting after the first time, you're quitting too soon.
Right.
Don't give up on the system, and don't give up on yourself, and don't give up on your house.
You have to remember you're dealing with the federal government, and we have a lot of regulations and rules that we have to abide by, unfortunately. And at a time of need, we're trying to do everything we can to reach out to people that are in need of assistance. But there are rules that we have to follow as well. So please just bear with us and let us try to help you through the process.
Should people apply? Now, this is the secondary home. So can they go ahead and apply for FEMA with a secondary home if their primary home was not damaged?
If they had a family member living in that home during the time of the disaster, yes, they could go ahead and register. But if it's a secondary home that they go into part of the year, then no. But if you have any questions about it, go ahead and register, and then let us make the determination whether it's eligible.
Yeah, there's nothing like getting a hard denial and then fighting it and then getting a second hard denial. I would go for 2 or 3 denials in that case and let that system play its way out based on what I've learned from you today, Renee, correct?
Correct.
And then on top of that, is there for a secondary home, if you get that word no excessively, isn't this where Sandra can come in?
If it's used as a rental property, it's got to be a business property. But, if it's just sitting there used sometimes, it's not eligible.
Correct. Yeah.
But apply anyway. Again, like Renee says, let us figure out and then give you an answer.
In this case, the best answer you could get is yes.
There you go.
So I've got another quick question. I'm glad statement. I'm glad you did this. I really thought I wasn't really eligible. I appreciate it. I'll definitely do the initial application and hopefully hear back from my insurance soon. And here's the thing, Sally, you're not by yourself. Please spread the word. These ladies are doing a fantastic job. I really appreciate the fact that they're on the show and really opening people's eyes up to the opportunity to get your lives back in order and to take advantage. And I do mean take advantage because Renee brought it up earlier, that 7 or 25% interest rate or a 7% loan or an 18% loan right now versus a just over 2% or less through a SBA loan gives you a great opportunity not to just bring your house back to standard, but think about this. There's a lot of houses in our community that are older. They needed some love. This may be the opportunity not to just give it some love, but to get with your insurance company, find out what your discounts are for your age of home, and then meet your discounts so that your homeowner's insurance is cheaper because you've met all these discounts that are available, and you maximized what you're going to get as through your policy. Okay. And you've got the third nail down here. You've got all kinds of things that you can take advantage of with your discounting. And right now, if you're getting a roof put on, there's no reason not to have the third nail checked and get that done. That's another discount on your homeowner's insurance policy, which will bring down your rate. And right now, everybody needs to be thinking about how to bring their insurance rates down, because I'll promise you they're not going to do anything but go up. With this disaster, unfortunately, we're going to lose some homeowners insurance companies like we did prior to the storm. We're going to have a little bump, and then things will probably settle back down again. But we've got to. We always take our lumps down here, and we always seem to land on our feet. The government does step in and do a lot of great things for us. But keep in mind that if you're going to take advantage of these programs, try to take advantage of the discounts that you can capture and meet with the critical people that you needed to meet with prior to the storm, and talk about your flood insurance again, readdress some of these situations that Renee brought up, and also talk about the discounts that you can get when you're redoing a roof.
And again, review your insurance policies, because many people thought they were covered fully for certain things and they're not. So I would really encourage you to sit with your agent, go over your policies, and make sure that you're covered for everything you want to be covered for.
So I'm going to go back to the SBA real quick, because the fact that you don't own a business, SBA, what's SBA stand for, Sandra?
Small Business Administration.
But
in times of disaster, we help everybody, homeowner, renter, all businesses and nonprofits.
Can you talk about some of the people out there that maybe give a story about somebody that you've had, that you've helped, that didn't think that they were going to get anything, and then it turned their life around?
Well, I wish I could. I can't think right now, but we have lots of people. I was at an event not long ago, and we were talking about this particular disaster declaration. And the gentleman came up to me afterwards, and he says, I just love SBA because they helped me when, he was starting a business. So that's the regular SBA. But he had such a great appreciation for the opportunity that the SBA was able to give him to start something new. And evidently he was kind of a genius, because he did really well. And he said he was able to help so many people in his community. Now, with the disaster program, we have success stories all the time, but, and there are lots of them. It's an opportunity to get back to where you were before at a low interest rate. If you don't want the loan, don't take it, but it's a resource. I mean, just having that stress alleviated by looking at, well, my insurance is this much, and then, I got this much in other funding, and this is how much I really need remaining. That SBA could be the remaining piece. And if you only need a little, take a little, and then pay it off early, and you're done with that. It's just a resource. So don't be afraid of the loan. If you need it and can get it, get it.
And I'm going to say this: the interest rate. We used to be bragging about the 3.75 and the 4%, 4.25%. We were bragging about it. We're higher than that right now. Okay. So consumer wise, one of the things I always heard from people who knew how to manage their money and took advantage of low interest rates, kept their cash flow good, and used what they would consider almost free money because of the interest rates being so low. You're talking a little over 2%. That's half of what we were talking when these people were talking about it's free money. It's not truly free, but with that interest rate, that really does change and interest rate plus time.
Mhm.
So you've got interest rate and you've got 30 years. And if you're talking about a $30,000 loan at 2% over 30 years, I don't want you to be exact on your number, but what is the rough monthly on something like that? I mean,
I have no idea.
a couple $100 maybe, but if that, because
The thing about it is that when I talk to most people about the loan program, some people, truly don't want a loan, but their ears perk up when we talk about mitigation. Ah, I can fix this, that, and the other. So then they start thinking about, I can really put myself in a better position. And here's my window of opportunity to do that. I do have physical damages. And, applying, getting the loan, they know that they have the ability to repay and their credit's reasonable. Then yeah, I want a better roof because I've been through this before and I'm tired of going through this. So the mitigation piece has really been, like I said, people's response to that has been like, okay, let's talk about this. And we didn't have that response before. One thing we would talk about it, but not as much as we're talking about it now, because now everybody's trying to not get ahead of storms, but to be ready. We've been talking about preparedness probably for the last few years now. And now that things are happening so fast, we really do need to get prepared even now. And this is a window to do it.
yes, it is. Just a quick question they had, and I know this is perfectly teed up for Renee. On the inspection side of things, I think we talked about it, and I think you said it was 7 to 10 days.
That's correct. It's about 7 to 10 days. But if you have not heard from an inspector within that period of time, please reach back out to FEMA and let them know that so that we can make sure that the inspector reaches back out to you.
And
the inspector will try to call a couple of times, and it may be an out-of-state call. So if you don't feel comfortable answering that, leave it, let it go to message, and then listen to the message and return the call to the inspector.
Well, and something I will end the show with, and I think you guys will both agree with this: go make a best friend, and they will be one of your best friends, even if it's a denial letter best friend. Go make a best friend at one of the locations. We've got one here in Port Charlotte at the mall. Please go make a best friend there at the disaster center, or go to the Shannon Staub Library and at STC at Cranberry and Toledo Blade, and go make a best friend and get good or bad news, and then get more help.
And let me just say, additionally, if there's for some reason FEMA is not able to assist you, we have many nonprofit agencies. The state has a lot of agencies that we might be able to refer you to for assistance. So don't think that if you can't get it from us, you can't get it from anyone. There are many other agencies out there that we can certainly refer you to for assistance.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you both for being part of my show. I'd love to have you back on in the near future, maybe to get some more highlights on what people should do and how things are going. I do appreciate everything you guys are doing in our community and the surrounding areas, because while I have said this over and over again, we have had our damage here. We have been very, very blessed, and we really need our southern neighbors south of us to feel the love from us. And I hope you guys are really helping them down in the Fort Myers, Naples area, and even all the way down into the Key West locations that got hit, because this storm did affect up and down the coast and then inland and then up the other side of Florida. So I know you guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having us today.
All right, you guys have a blessed day. This is John Rawlings with Real Talk Radio 97.5 FM. You can share this. It's on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. You can share this information. Please share it as much as you possibly can, because there's not enough sharing over this information right now. And this is the right information to share. This is direct from FEMA and SBA, and this information will help someone if you share it with them. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. We'll see you on Friday. Bye-bye now.